Okay, people, we are live and obsessed with. It is Friday. I am excited. Around here, we call it Fry-yay. But let's be real, all the days are all molding into each other. Who the hell knows what day it is, Justin? No one knows.
Nope. No, just another day.
Just another day. Okay, so basically we've got Justin Hogg here. I like to do a bit of a readout. And of all people to get on here, and I think it's super duper important at the moment, but he's an accountant. And most people go, numbers. And I go, yay, numbers. Because
Me
right
too.
now, yeah, thank God. And I'm sure all of your clients are going, woo.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, look, with COVID and everything happening, everything shit hitting the fan, everything falling apart, and a lot of things happening, I actually thought it would be a really cool idea to interview somebody that's having to not necessarily come from like, oh, we're going to teach you how to do accounting space, but like, you guys are like, they talk about frontliners, you know, like the nurses and the doctors and everything else. I actually consider you a frontliner because you are having to literally read, interpret, understand at a rapid rate of knots like never probably before, all of the new legislation and how you can actually navigate most of your clients and communicate this to your clients and your people or whoever else is freaking out at the end of a phone to you, you know, all your mates that are like, I've got a mate that's an accountant, I'm going to call him and find out.
Yeah.
Are you copying it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not because you don't know. There's a lot of unknowns at the moment and people are struggling with what do I do? What do I do? And it's like, well, it's trying to help them through that, sort of that anxiety. Because whenever someone's running a business, they're used to looking out further, and all of a sudden it's like day to day, like what's happening, what's in the news, what's been passed today, what does it all mean? And frankly, I don't think the tax office knows what it all means yet. So I mean, it's trying to help.
I mean, is that a new thing though? Is that a new thing?
So I mean, there's a lot happening very quickly, and to try and help people make a decision and move forward and through it, that's really what you want, because you don't want to be stuck in thinking about what's happening today when you're running a business. You want to be freaking out. Yeah. Look,
I mean, obviously I've got an accountant, and literally as soon as all this came at us, one of the first things I got on the phone to was Tori. I'm like, okay, what's happening? And I can only imagine, because the people that we go to when there's a financial issue in our businesses, we call you in a normal space, in just normal day-to-day running of the business, right?
Yep.
This happens and it's like, well, hang on a second, you guys run a business too, so you're in the same boat as us, but also trying to help other people make sense of the shit. So I think you guys are copping it hard out. And some of the things, like most people go, oh, accountants, and they glaze over because it's not necessarily the sexiest topic to talk about.
Yep. No, and I get that. And it depends. Like it's great that you've got a good relationship with your accountant, and I think that's really important in business, to have a relationship with your accountant. Some people go, what? And the relationship? I don't want to talk to that person. But there are businesses out there who don't have a good relationship with their accountant or with someone who can give them financial advice, and they're trying to piece this all together themselves. I mean, that is a world of pain, especially if numbers and legislation and all that stuff isn't your jam. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and literally, like I don't know if it's still happening. At one point there, it was literally happening hour to hour, minute to minute, and literally just new stuff just popping up. So, look, and because of that, like the people are having to try and make decisions, and you're trying to guide these people and do the best that you can. It's pretty hectic.
Yeah,
I just can't even.
And there's I've seen three different ways businesses are working at the moment. One is, and definitely some in like hospitality and tourism, they're like, we're out. There's just, no matter what the government gives us, we're not going to survive, and it's closing the doors. The other ones are like, well, we want to just get through this. We don't know what's going to happen. They've gone into preservation mode, so they've just pulled everything back and gone, we just need to survive. But there are also some businesses out there who can still grow, and they're struggling with they feel guilty about that, because they're like, well, we've got this product, or like they're doing a different way to do hand sanitizer, or there's other products that are adding value to the situation, and they're like, we can do all this. How do we grow at a time where everyone else is contracting? that's both challenging. Also, there's a lot of personal guilt. It's like, well, I don't want to profit off the trauma that a lot of people are going through. So
Yep.
it's helping people understand that if you're delivering value, there's nothing wrong with getting paid for that value. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And this is it. I mean, there's a difference between, and this is what we're all talking about at the moment, like pivoting and diversifying. And a lot of us are running businesses, looking at your current situation, not continuing to market like you used to, because those types of things aren't necessarily going to be working. And a lot of people have got like their marketing, their advertising set up in a certain way with their avatars and like their target markets and everything else. But what was their target market then and what is now, completely different. And I think a lot of people are struggling wrapping their heads around that. So, and you guys are the ones that are kind of having to try and, you know, like nurse these people through. It's crazy daisies. So one of the this is my personal experience. I've had so many different bookkeepers and accountants, and for years, I've had bookkeepers that have done the wrong thing. They've ripped us off, like not just, you know, in more ways than you can poke a stick at. Yeah. And the difference between bookkeepers and accountants is huge, because recently I made a decision to transition away from a bookkeeper and go straight to an accountant that does all the bookkeeping and everything else as well. What's the importance of that? Because there is a very, very distinct difference between bookkeepers and accountants.
I think ultimately, I mean, bookkeepers have a place, and that, I mean, we do bookkeeping, and that that's like the bread and butter. I think it's like any professional, anyone, if you're hiring someone internally, you need to look at what experience they've got. So quite often people think, oh, you know, a bookkeeper or even an accountant, oh, you can do this because you're an accountant. But if you're in a specific industry, or like if you're selling online, or if you're in construction, or if you go to an accountant or a bookkeeper that doesn't have experience in that industry, you're not going to get as good a service. So I think sometimes it's about asking the question or understanding what clients they've dealt with before, so they understand the challenges in your particular industry or your particular business. What you'll find with an accountant versus a bookkeeper, well, a lot of the bookkeepers are technically accountants by qualification, but you don't have to be an accountant. So it's, again, looking at the qualifications. Normally an accountant will have a broader view of what's going on. So they won't just do the books, they'll also understand implications for strategy. They might understand tax. Some do tax, some don't. They might have other aspects so they can understand the whole picture, and they look at it at a higher level, whereas a bookkeeper will be great at getting the information into your system, having that up to date. But in terms of providing advice on your business, they may not have that depth of knowledge to be able to provide that advice. And
that's what I found. Like, they have a limited, most bookkeepers have a limited capacity. They can do the everyday things and the stuff and the data and all the rest of it to a certain level. And ultimately you always end up handing that off to an accountant anyway. But I have just really enjoyed the transition away from a bookkeeping, like that two-step process, to having it all in one space. And again, it comes down to those relationships. You know, and you know, accountants ain't accountants, just like mechanics are not mechanics. You know, you get good mechanics and you get bad mechanics, because it comes down to people. And if you don't have a good, solid relationship with the people, especially the people you're trusting your money with, you're fucked.
And especially like a lot of so we work with a lot of social purpose enterprises, and the thing that I come across a lot is people going, "Oh, so how do you find your accountant?" And I go, "I don't like them." So why are you still with them then? Like, especially people who are passionate about making a difference in social purpose, and they accept that they can have an accountant that's crap. And it's like, well, don't accept that, because one, this is your business. You should get the best person. You should have a relationship with everyone in your business that you feel you can trust them. And your accountant should be one of those. But also, if the industry of accounting is going to change, it sort of needs to be consumer driven. Like, you know, consumer makes a choice, like, well, I'm not going to accept a poor service from an accountant. If an accountant doesn't give me, you know, clear communication, show me that they actually care about my business, I'll go find someone who does, because there are definitely those out there who do.
But I mean, that goes for anybody in any particular industry, right? But even I am with you on that, Justin. I find it absolute madness that you would continue to stay in a relationship with someone that you don't like or feel uneasy about, especially when it comes to your money.
Yeah.
That's what we're all doing it for, usually. Well, I mean, some of us do it with love, but then there's always money involved somewhere.
Money lets you keep doing it.
Correct. I love money. I'm not going to lie. I'm really good at making it. I'm just not like, and I was having this conversation the other day, like I'm just not the best or haven't been the best at necessarily keeping it or making it work for me, which is why, again, I feel that having an accountant is far more valuable than having that bookkeeper and that low level. But I also get it. Lower level. Sorry to all the bookkeepers out there. David Tui has said Justin is great at speaking around management accounting for the business, not ATO. Really worth listening to. So you've got a fan, and you've also got a comment that says also a big difference between tax accountants and management accountants.
Yes.
Can you tell me?
So I'm not a tax accountant. I'm a management accountant, just for full disclosure. So when I say management accountants are more interesting, that's where I'm coming from. So tax accountants, they look at the past. So tax accountants are always looking at what's happened, and it's, to a fair extent, it's compliance related because it's paying taxes. Management accountant looks at the future. So management accountant's about reporting, giving you transparency on your business, and helping you tell your story. So there's a lot less rules with management accounting, which sounds a little scary, but
no, I get super excited. I'm like, I'm a bloody creative, mate. No rules. I'm like, woo, let's go.
Well, I mean, so a management accountant is there to help you understand how your business is going, how and what that means for the future. So it's really forward-looking. And Good. When you talk to someone about, well, what's the future? It could be anything. So, and it's really specific to each individual. So that's why I enjoy that, because every individual has a story. And what I'm doing with the accounting is telling it in numbers. So, and if those numbers don't make sense to the person, to whose story I'm telling, well, then it's meaningless because it's their story. It's not my story. It's their story. So that's where management accounting is a lot of fun, because when you create these things and show people like, is this what you meant? This is where you think you're going? And they see it and they go, yes, that's magic, because then all of a sudden they can see their own future. Which is really cool. So that's why I like management accounting. Tax accounting is really important because you need to get that stuff done and get it right.
Yeah.
A different focus.
Yeah. And look, I mean, and this is the stuff that people don't know, right? They just go, I'm going to go get an accountant. And a lot of people get accountants based on recommendation.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
As long as the business that you're getting the recommendation of, or the person you're getting the recommendation of, is comparative.
Yeah. Exactly.
To your own business.
That's right. And I mean, I made a conscious choice not to practice tax. I mean, I understand it. I know it. I know how it works, but I don't practice it because it's not it's not what I enjoy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you have to enjoy what you do too, just as much as the rest of us in business.
Absolutely. But I've got a tax accountant my own personal tax accountant, who's awesome. Yeah. So if someone comes to me, hey, look, I need an accountant. Yep, sure. Let's have a chat. I need my tax done. It's like, well, that's cool. That's not my thing, but I know the person you should talk to.
And you know what? That's exactly who my accountant is. She's a management accountant. Yeah. And then we collaborate with a really good quality tax accountant.
Exactly.
But because you're working, and the thing is, the workload as well would be significantly reduced at the tax accountant level because you've done most of the legwork and most of the strategy work anyway. So compliance and all that kind of stuff. And when you're giving it
everything's in place, you know what's happening.
So when it comes to future planning, it's things like, so I've said to you, Justin, I want in 3 years' time, I want to buy my first investment property, and I want to and you would tell me, is that correct? You would say, this is how we go, this is how we get there?
So I focus on the business side, but
I know you can't buy an investment property.
But reframe, say I want to buy another branch, I want to do X, I want to grow. Well, I'll ask you, tell me, honestly, I'd say, well, tell me, why do you want to do that? Like, what's the purpose? What's the outcome you're looking for? Because that you're talking about one thing, one transaction. It's like, well, okay, why are you buying that investment property? Like, what's the goal? What's your longer term? How does that fit into everything else you're doing? So is it you want to buy an investment property so you don't want to work anymore, or you want to buy that so you can work more? Like, what is it? So because everyone's story isn't isn't just one transaction. It's complicated.
Yeah, it really is. And you have to actually try and, again, that's why relationships are so goddamn important. It's not like you just pick up the phone and say, oh, can you sort my stuff? It's just like, well, hang on a second. I need to actually figure out where your head's at, what your goals are, because you have to be able to deliver something and have it make sense to them. And if it doesn't land for them, then it's all completely pointless.
That's right. So it's really about digging deeper and understanding the why.
I was having a conversation yesterday, as I do, with Natalie behind me. And I said, do you know what? I find absolutely incredible that in times like this, we find that many businesses there's a lot of business. And I think we did a talk recently on blaming COVID and some of these businesses that are closing down had bugger all to do with COVID, had nothing to do with COVID. They were literally just prolonging the inevitable. You were going to lose the business anyway. It just sped up the process for them. So a lot of people are going to be blaming COVID when it actually wasn't, because you've made poor management choices or poor business choices, or something's happened in the business long before COVID. And I find it incredible how the government allows people, and give me your thoughts on this, allows people just to register businesses like this or become a director of a company like this and not be made to go through certain processes and courses so you understand what you're getting into and what you're on the hook for.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a minefield. There's a number of businesses that I've helped where directors or people have set up businesses, go, this is a great idea, let's run a business. And they're like, yep, set it up, bang, as you say, business, company, directors. And then they haven't done it. They haven't had the knowledge. They haven't had someone working with them to show them the risks, to get things in place. And then stuff has gone wrong. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, we've got this big debt, we can just fold. Well, yeah, but you're a director, so you're liable for this. Like, you're not necessarily just going to walk away. And then helping them understand that, and then helping them trying to find the best way out. There's a lot of people get themselves into a lot of trouble because they don't understand what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're talking about people especially if you get things like employees and a lot of, it's a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility when you go from sole tradership to PTY Ltd and you become a director.
Yep.
It's huge. Some of the stuff you can go to jail for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find it mind-blowing that there is no process in place up front, some sort of a PDF, a disclaimer, click here to understand that if you don't do these things, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think I think that there should be I think you should be should have an accountant, somebody like yourself or an advisor. You should have to have gone through the process. You know, when you go and get your license, and you have to have all these, like, a logbook of hours. I think you should have to do that. Say, have you got an accountant? Yes, if you do, that's great. Then yes, you can apply for a PTY Ltd, because then you fill out and know what your responsibilities are.
Yeah, or even a quick questionnaire just to see that people are aware of, like, the core things that will happen. Like, if I pay super, will I be liable for it?
Yes,
if
you will.
Workplace, will I be liable for it? That type of stuff.
Yeah, because it's sad. Like, I mean, and sometimes because people, this big rise of entrepreneurship, and everybody wants to be a bloody entrepreneur and everybody wants to start the businesses, but they actually don't, because it's such it's been in the last decade, it's been massive, right? At home businesses, small businesses, it's been the thing. Everybody trying to start their own thing. But there's a lot of these people that have come out of workspaces and employment spaces and thought, I'm going to have a go at this, and had this big dream, and like it's going to be, freedom, and I'm going to have financial freedom. And it's the complete and utter opposite. It is the opposite.
It's super hard starting up a business, and it should not be underestimated. So, I mean, that's my experience. I came out of the corporate world, decided to start my own business a few years ago. Well, this should be easy. I'm an accountant. I know this all works. No, it's still hard.
I know. Mate, I'm shit with numbers. Not even going to lie about it. I think everybody that knows me knows that when someone says numbers, I'm like, Tori? I am shit. I'm really cool I've got other superpowers. I know how to stay in my lane. David says, 100% agree, Hayley. Unfortunately, most small businesses in Australia see accountants as an expense. Yes, they do. Yeah. And if you are watching or listening, it's not an expense. It's an absolute categorical must. A must for any business. If you want to survive, not just survive, but thrive in business, you need a good, solid quality accountant, an advisor, someone that understands that shit better than you do.
Yeah.
And even if you think you know stuff, you can never have enough advice and enough support in the financial space. Look what's happened today. Look, well, not today, but look what's happening.
Yeah, that's right. You can pick up the phone and go, what does this mean for my business? And they know your business. They can talk with you clearly and give you very quick and good advice. That's what you want.
Mate, I'm going to send something nice to my lady. I was literally on the phone like up until all bloody hours, and she never, ever not answered the phone. She always answered the phone.
Well, you try to, yeah.
Have you had sleep, Justin?
I haven't had as much sleep as I normally do. I do have young kids too, so I'm sort of prepared for it already. It's like in training, but yeah.
How old are your kids?
5 and 6.
Oh wow! So like they're right at that age.
So yeah, my son has gotten up at 5 a.m. since birth. So
you're just like, not today, kid, not today. It's so good. So unfortunately, most small businesses in Australia see accounts as an expense and only for tax compliance, not yet seen and experienced the true value that can be there. And it's so true. Sally's here. Sally Prosser?
Yeah.
Yay, Justin!
So,
no, it's good. Like, I love, it's hard to, and this is what Obsessed is all about. Like, yeah, you're an accountant, and people will go, oh, accountant, I'm not going to tune in. It's like, yeah, but there's people behind these numbers, behind this, what can be perceived as a compliance-based kind of grey thing, but it can be really exciting. Like,
it can be, and you can. That's why I love working with those enterprises with a social purpose, like who want to make a difference, because you are part of creating something new. So by helping them navigate the financial side, that allows them to continue doing their social purpose further and longer and more, create more impact. That's what you're doing. You're helping create more impact. And at the same time, to really help these businesses, you have to understand what they're trying to achieve, because you want to help them achieve that. So, and there's different things that might be applicable to them or not, depending on where they're heading. Yeah.
What do you think it is? What do you think stops most people coming to accountants? Because you hear it all the time. I can understand, like, because it can be quite expensive. And for some people, they'd be paying more accountants and they can't see that. And for a lot of people, it's because they lack the ability to be able to read the numbers. So they can't actually see the amount that's coming out to the accountant coming back and how they're making the savings in the company. So I suppose that comes back to reporting.
Yeah, it does. There's also, there's a couple of things. I think there's also, if you look at an accountant as a financial mentor as well, that's another way to look at it. So, when you start a business, you get a lot of coaching. I mean, there's no financial coaching is something that helps you grow as a business owner. So that's a way to look at it as well. But the accounting industry don't help themselves. Like, there's a lot of accountants out there who are transactional. They're not interested in the relationship. They do just want to do the numbers and sit behind the computer all day. Unfortunately, I personally believe the industry will be changing in the next now to
right
now. It is changing, but the transactional stuff is going to go. All that's going to be left in the accounting industry is the relationship, because all the automation that's happening, all the robots are coming. That's going to get rid of all the transactional work. All that will be left is the relationship you can have with the business owners and understanding how you help them on their journey. And if you can't do that as an accountant, you will cease to have a job.
So how do you do that? What are the kind of things? And if there's any accountants listening, like what is it that you do to really cement the relationships, or to create a major
relationship? So I think one person I remember hearing speak once was talking about selling generally. So not just as an accounting, but just generally selling. And their view on selling was you have to form a relationship to build trust to then make the sale. So that's a sale process, which isn't the badgering sale process. This is a genuine sales process. And I think a lot of accountants don't do that. They go, hey, look, you need me to fill in your tax return. This is how much it's going to cost. Take it or leave it. And they're comfortable that they'll get enough business, so they don't do that.
Yeah, they skip that step.
They skip that relationship, that trust step. It's like, well, you need me. Bad luck. My view on all this is, no, the relationship comes first. So I will form. I'm interested in helping people. That's what I love to do. I love to help people. I happen to be an accountant at the same time, so I help people with financial stuff. That's how it works. So I will have, and I have had in the last couple of weeks especially, a lot of conversations with people that aren't my clients, that they need an accountant, they need someone to talk to. Sure, I'll spend half an hour talking through, understanding where they're at, giving them some advice as much as I can in that short amount of time, and helping them. They might come back. They might come back, they might not.
Well, this is it. Yeah, I love it, and this is it, Justin. Like, there's so many, some people are afraid to reach out because they still have that old mentality. It's just like, well, just ask the bloody question. Just reach out, ask, and actually connect. If you're stuck with something, just ask the question. Just reach out.
That's right.
Because you just never know. Like, and anybody is listening that's got any questions or whatever have you, feel free, if you don't mind, Justin, to reach out and message.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the relationships are bloody important. And I was trying to explain this to somebody. It's like, do what you're doing, even if it's not going to be for money right now. And look, I'm not by any means saying that anybody should be doing something for free, because it is value-based. But if you can give or share your talent in the best way that you possibly can, and I was saying this at the very beginning, none of us can really solve the COVID issue, the pandemic, or the government stuff at that level. That's not our job. We've just got to go with the flow, because the powers that be, what will be, will be. The only thing we can give is what's within our scope of talents. And for you, this is numbers. For me, it's creativity, it's graphic design, it's bloody, helping people pivot or come up with new ideas to create S-bends, right?
Yep.
So for you, the same deal. Like, it's looking at it from a financial perspective and alleviating that stress and the anxiety of going to bed every night thinking, fuck, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
You don't need to sit in that space and stress out, because there's people like Justin that are offering themselves and putting their hands up and saying, hey, I'm over here. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it. We find our people on this channel. We do. I like it, because literally, like, accountants are honestly, well, you know this, they're in that section where nobody actually thinks, cool, creative stuff.
Well, and I mean, because creative accounting is always a bad thing, but you need to be able to be creative and emotionally aware to understand people's journeys. Like, they're the good ones, honestly.
What's he got here? Can relate to that, with a foot in both camps of financial management consultancy and with social and with a social enterprise. Do you know what that means?
So she must be doing a social enterprise and doing some consulting. Because this is what a lot of social enterprises, like, people have a day job and they're like, that's what they do. It's sort of and then they have their thing they're really passionate about, and that's what they do in their spare time. But that's the stuff that they really love to do. And if you can harness that and create that, then that's what they want to do. And quite often that's that social purpose, because it can be very hard to understand, well, how do I make money out of doing good? It doesn't,
I mean, obviously you do accounting, that's your job. What do you have, like, hobbies that have got nothing to do with your work?
Other
than running around after 2 kids?
Yeah, it's the last few years has been definitely it's been the kids and starting up my own business. I mean, I enjoy, it sounds a bit contrived, but I mean, hobbies are golf and movies. Movies are pretty much out at the moment. Definitely used to love going to the movie theater, so that's probably the thing I'm going to miss the most through COVID.
What kind of movies do you like?
Look, I'm a big sci-fi thing, but anything, I love rom-coms. Where have rom-coms gone? That really frustrates me. I used to love rom-coms.
Are you on Netflix?
Yeah, it looks at the old ones. But there's sort of a genre that's sort of fallen by the wayside. So, but no, I like all types of movies and really just enjoy that escapism and it's storytelling again. Yeah.
Well, The Walking Dead, that's a romantic comedy, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it can be. I mean, look at us laughing at it right now.
Yeah, it's right. Contagion.
A whole new genre for it.
All the stuff you learn from movies, if only we'd known.
Oh, you're awesome. Justin, honestly, thank you so much for coming today. We're literally at the 30-minute mark. So, look, I appreciate you taking the time out, because your time is precious. And thank you for everything that you are doing and putting your hand up and helping people make sense and making money make sense for people. I'm literally going to put a link in the comments anyway for anybody who would like to reach out to Justin. Justin, I encourage you to go on after and maybe respond to some of the questions and comments.
Yeah, sure.
And feel free to put a link in there to what you do. I'm covered in goosebumps right now. I cannot express what it's done for me in my business to have a really good relationship with a quality advisor and accountant. And I encourage any of you that are going well, we're all going through Shitsville now, but you're going to need someone that can understand the legislation, interpret it, and actually figure out what it's going to mean for your business and how you can make the most of what the government is offering right now. Thank you so much for joining us, Justin. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.
Yeah, that's what we aim to be. And we'll have you back. We'll have you back, because if there's anything that happens, you just let us know, and we'll share it with our people. And if anybody wants to get more information, we'll just get you back on here and have you answer all the questions.
Yeah, happy to do Q&A. Yep.
Yeah, rock and roll. All right, darling, you have a great day.
Thanks, see ya.
Bye, darling.